Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. Just a slight delay here at Craven Cottage, not entirely sure why, but our referee Josh Smith does get things underway here as Fulham take on Crystal Palace. In theory, I suppose, in terms of European places or relegation, this is a little bit of a dead rubber, but Fulham would argue that if they can win their last 2 games of the season and win them well, they could still potentially make a fight for getting into the top 7. As for Crystal Palace, their incentive will be that if they could win today, potentially they could still finish above Chelsea, although the top 10 is out of reach for Roy Hodgson's side. But bearing in mind that less than 2 months ago Palace were seriously flirting with relegation, and it's still a very good turnaround for them since Hodgson has taken on. We are underway here. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Harry Jones taking the reaction. Harry, sometimes at dead rubber in terms of sort of relegation and the like, sometimes you assume it's going to be a quiet game, but that could actually mean that both sets of players are let off the leash to actually just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting, isn't it, when there's not too much to play for. I mean, we've already touched on the small amounts that Fulham are sort of clutching onto in their bids for European football, but sometimes it does just make for an unpredictable game. You can't really tell what's going to happen because it's not a case of one team have it all to play for and one on the beach, as you say, as Willian breaks forward in towards the area, but it's cleared away by Palace. So yeah, could be a really interesting game, and usually they make for the most unpredictable ones. We see some crazy scorelines when both teams are just going for it.
Yes, we absolutely do, and that was a decent little run there as well from Willian. Just stopped at the edge of the area. Palace are responding straight away with a quick run down the right-hand side from Eberechi Eze. He's just stopped in his tracks. Ball's cleared out. Just to remind you very quickly, Bernd Leno is in goal for Fulham. Back four of Kenny Tete, Odsonne Edouard, Issa Diop and Anthony Robinson. Harrison Reed and João Paulinho are the two holder midfielders, with Harry Wilson, Tom Kearney and Willian playing as the attacking three behind Aleksander Mitrovic. For Palace it is Sam Johnston in goal. A back four of Joel Ward, Joachim Andersen, Mark Guay and Tyrick Mitchell. Czech Decore and Will Hughes are the two holder midfielders, with Michael Elise, Eberechi Eze and what it now appears Odsonne Edouard is playing in that attacking three, with Jordan Ayew was the front man. I would have thought that Edouard might be the out-and-out striker. We'll see how that plays out in this game. Fulham have got a man down just at the edge of the box, but we're playing on for now because Fulham are still on the attack, with Kenny Tete getting towards the edge of the area and no way to cross the ball in. Our referee does now look across and realises that there is still a player down. Fulham are in possession, so play will be stopped here, and it is Mitrovic who's down.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Didn't quite catch the initial error, but Joachim Andersen's going over to tend to the striker, so you have to see what the issue was. It looks as though he may have just been caught as he goes up for the header, maybe a slight elbow in the face.
We know that Andersen does have a little bit of form for having his arms out, and that's a swing at Mitrovic, in my opinion. I don't see any justification for Andersen jumping in the way that he does with that arm swinging out. I actually say I do wonder if VAR is going to have a look at this, because to me it looked like there was a little bit more than just a bit of accidental contact. I can't really see why Andersen would have his arm there to get position or to elevate himself. I mean, look at Mitrovic has got a busted nose now. He's having to get treatment on that, and he's done this too many times for my liking, I think, Andersen.
Yeah, it's obviously contact there, as we can see the blow on the face of Aleksander Mitrovic, so it's definitely not one where Mitrovic, I mean, we know he does like to sometimes pull the wool over the referee's eyes. He can be a little bit of a joker at times, but that one definitely not so, as we just see the blood pouring out of his nose. So definitely was clipped, and well, in seeing that, I mean, there's contact. It was from an elbow to the face. Was it on purpose? Was it accidental? I mean, it's always difficult for a referee to know when he wasn't watching the initial error in the first place. So I think Andersen maybe just getting away with one here, but definitely it looked like there was a motion towards the face of Mitrovic with intent.
I think so as well. I mean, the VAR have had more than enough time to check this, so they obviously feel as though it was just one of those accidental brushes where there's nothing you can do and there's no intent from Andersen. But say he's getting a bit of a reputation now, the Dane, and eventually that could come back to bite him as teams try and mete out their own retribution when there's nothing doing as far as the referee. Carlos Vinicius, who's actually been in the goals since Mitrovic has had his long ban. The Brazilian is warming up on the touchline just in case. It may well be that Mitrovic has had a few drops of blood on his white Fulham shirt, so they'll have to quickly run to the club shop and print another Mitrovic shirt on for him so he can put that on. But yeah, he is actually changing his shirt. I said that for a joke, but it turns out that he is going to have his shirt changed, and it's got no number on the back of it. So we'll see Mitrovic back on the field in a moment. Fulham are trying to get forward now down the left-hand side. The ball is cleared back up towards the halfway line. Attempt to try and win that ball there for Palace. It is Edouard, plays it back towards Elise. Does he keep it in play? He does not, says the linesman. It has gone out for a throw to Fulham down the left-hand side. Anthony Robinson waiting to restart play. Well, there's a sort of almost a friendly high five there between Mitrovic and Andersen. I've got to say that knowing the sort of character that Mitrovic is, I would have thought he would have felt that he's quite unhappy about it, but maybe he's just biding his time.
Yeah, maybe it's almost like a hunter stalking his prey, like quietly staying on the nice side of Andersen, and maybe he'll give him his receipt later on in the game. But for now, it looks like it's amicable, but I'm sure if tempers do start to flare, Aleksander Mitrovic is going to be one of the players at the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Keep your friends close, but enemies even closer. That's what Mitrovic will be thinking there with Andersen, as here come Fulham now down the left. They've made a good start in this game, Fulham. They're certainly seeing a lot more of the ball. Had a long stoppage there for that injury, but here comes Willian now down the left, break it into the box, tease it up for someone to just put their foot through it. Now it's set up for Kearney, who puts a cross in, and it's cleared towards the right-hand side, kept alive here by Kenny Tete, whose cross is not good, and that is out for a goal kick. But that ball laid off at the edge of the box there, it just required somebody to really smash it. There was nobody there to do that. No, there wasn't, and it did fall pretty nicely. Was it? It might have been Andersen Reid on the edge of the penalty area, or Harry Wilson, but Williams did really well. Sorry, to break into the area. Nice cutback. It was towards Reid, who didn't want to shoot first time. That's why he laid it off towards Tom Kearney. He tried a more of a cute ball into the area. Wasn't going to pick out a teammate before it went way too deep. And Fulham have been on top in this game so far, and they've looked lively. They are the home side, so we could maybe expect that, and they've got a higher league position than Crystal Palace, so it'll be interesting to see if Palace can weather this storm early on, but for now, Fulham look on top. They certainly do. No goals in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Bournemouth, Manchester United, Liverpool, Villa and Wolves, Everton are the other games being played, as well as this one here between Fulham and Palace. In the earlier game, Tottenham did lead against Brentford at half-time by a goal to 0, but then it all changed in the second half. Brentford ended up winning a 3-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and still to come at 5:30 this evening, it's Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. We have also got to the back end of the playoff. It's a semi-final in League 2 between Stockport and Salford. That is currently at 2-1 to Stockport, so it's actually 2-2 on aggregates. That could be heading to penalties in the next couple of minutes. And also Carlisle against Bradford City. That's just kicked off in the last 7 minutes, and commentary of those two games are also available on our service, as Jordan Ayew's given a free kick away. It's been a bit of a frustrating start for Palace. They've barely been able to get over the halfway line. Well, they haven't, and when they have been on the ball, it's been pretty frantic play. They're just trying to clear their lines. Fulham doing well to squeeze them out of possession, and up until this point, Fulham look a lot more controlled in possession. They've got a chance now to maybe pick out one of the bigger players. The centre-backs have both gone up, so it'd be interesting to see if they can make anything work for me. They've got fantastic set-piece takers in both Kearney and Willian, so I'm expecting a good delivery. Absolutely, a left-footer or a right-footer there, both of them excellent. It's the right foot of Willian, though. He lifts it. Well, goodness me, that's the commentators cursed in about 2 seconds there. Both of us talking up the two good set-piece takers for Fulham, and then Willian just lofts the ball over everybody's head, harmlessly out for a goal kick. There has been an early goal at the Vitality. It's Bournemouth 0, Manchester United 1. Casemiro with the goal there for Manchester United. As Marco Silva just getting some further instructions out to his players. We'll be keen for Fulham to capitalise on this very positive start. Meanwhile, we can see Roy Hodgson, of course, who got a good reception walking across the Craven Cottage pitch today. Of course, he's remembered for a very successful time at Fulham. They got all the way to the UEFA Cup final. Was it the first year of the Europa League? And in any case, it was the European competition that isn't the Champions League. They got all the way to the final with Hodgson as their manager. I certainly remember his time here at Craven Cottage very fondly as Mitrovic. I must admit, I said it for a joke about the Fulham kitman having to run to the club shop, but you'd think that if they're playing at home, they should have spare shirts with the players' numbers printed on the back, really. Yeah, I mean, that's usually the case. They'll have a shirt to stand by. If the players want to change them at half time, they can if they get dirty or something like that. But obviously the kitman didn't have time to run back to the changing rooms, but they clearly don't have them on hand, because Mitrovic now wearing a shirt with no number, so that could be a little bit confusing. We might see our referee madly maybe booking the wrong player if he doesn't see the number. Yes, he won't be too happy with that, our referee. If that said, though, I'm sure that Fulham will be getting ready with a Mitrovic shirt at some point in the game. Palace still struggling to get on the ball here as Anthony Robinson goes all the way back towards Bernd Leno, who's had literally nothing to do in these first 10 minutes. Just a short ball from him out towards Issa Diop. Bit of pressing here. It looks like it is Edouard playing through the middle on this occasion for Crystal Palace, but they've had so little attacking possession, it's really hard to tell. As Fulham try to get something started here down the right-hand side, it's Wilson looking for the overlap of Harrison Reid. That's out for a throw. Good work there from Mark Guay to cut that out. And a throw to Fulham now down the right-hand side with Kenny Tete waiting to restart play. They're not rushing this throw for them. They want to make sure that everybody is in the position that they need them to be to try and work something here at the edge of the box. It's Tete's ball in towards Kenny. He hits the deck. Referee says play on. No, he doesn't. Josh Smith now stops play here just to check exactly what's happened to Tom Kenny. I think, looking at the way he's indicated there as well, I think he was actually playing an advantage and he's now given a free kick to Fulham. Yeah,
I mean, Kenny's gone down holding the face, so he may have took a blow similar to Mitrovic. Doesn't look like it's caused as much damage as the one to the Serbian up front, but nonetheless, it looks as though we're going to see a free kick to Fulham. And just want to see a replay of the close-up of the incident. So the throw was taken by Tete in towards Harry Wilson. It was a high boot there from Will Hughes. Just catches him on the nose.
It is. Yeah, I mean, there's no. I don't think there's any intent there from Will Hughes. But having said that, if someone did that to him, I think pretty sure the former Watford and Derby man wouldn't be too pleased about that either. In any case, it wasn't given as a free kick. It was just a drop ball, and it's now been given back to Crystal Palace. So it's been a bright start here for Fulham at Craven Cottage, although no real telling efforts on goal yet. There was a lovely bit of work from Willian down the left. He teed up a teammate, but no one was able to put their foot through it inside the Palace penalty area. There was a bit of a delay right at the start of the match after Aleksander Mitrovic had his face busted open, his nose busted open, I should say, after a collision with Joachim Andersen. There was nothing given in terms of a foul or a free kick, but the referee had a quick look at it and decided that there was no foul. In the meantime, Mitrovic had to change his shirts, and Fulham are still looking the better side, but at Craven Cottage it is 0-0. And just as I was saying that, there was a half-hearted appeal there from Mitrovic. He felt as though he was brought down inside the box. Harry, what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, he was a ball came into the area. Mitrovic seemed to get there first, and he was brought to ground, but the referee decided that there was nothing in it to give a penalty, and then right up the other end, Palace played a long ball which forced Bernd Leno all the way off his line to come out and clear it. It's about 30 or 40 yards out, so I think it opened up a little bit there, got a little bit frantic, but the penalty claims came from the Fulham players, but we're going to need to see another replay just to see the close-up, maybe a slow-motion clip, because from what I saw, it didn't really look like there was too much contact. It was more so a coming together in which Mitrovic went down, looking like he was just trying to buy a foul, but nonetheless, Fulham with a long ball over the top, looking for the run of Anthony Robinson. Does really well to take it down off the head over towards the byline, and it looks like he wants to try and win the corner, but he's running out of play. Yeah, there was just still a little bit too much pace on the ball there for Robinson to do what he really wanted with that. In the meantime, we're just seeing Tyrick Mitchell hobbling there a little bit, and now we're seeing our referee again, Josh Smith. Now let's have a look. It's Mitrovic with the no number shirt, plays that in towards Wilson. Now is there a well, that's why Mitchell's hobbling, because of the collision he had with Aleksander Mitrovic. But is it one of those where Mitrovic has clipped Mitchell and then lost his balance? Because you sometimes see those where a defender doesn't get to the ball because a forward gets in front of the ball before them, and then they can't stop themselves from making a pass or a clearance, and then they give away a penalty. But I'm not sure that's what happened there. No, I mean, it's interesting that in the build-up there, Tyrick Mitchell lost his boot, so he actually tackled Mitrovic with a bare foot there, which I think is why he's hobbling, because Mitrovic caught him on that bare foot with his boot. So it was a coming together with them. I don't think it was a penalty, but that's why Tyrick Mitchell is hobbling around now, because he had no boot to protect his foot, and he got a pretty decent whack off Mitrovic on the bare ankle, really. So hopefully he's okay to carry on. He should be okay. It looked more so just like impact against the bare foot. Well, in the meantime, Palace are looking a little bit chaotic at the start of this game, giving free kicks away, not really able to get their foot on the ball. And there, Czech Decore just clattering into Harry Wilson. He's been battered around a couple of times already in this game. And we can see just a slightly bemused Roy Hodgson. Really has been collecting all the plaudits for the way Palace have improved under his short tenure. And there is talk that potentially he may stay on for next season. I mean, it'd be considering that Palace wanted a change. Hodgson wanted to retire, but now he's come back and really settled the team down. So we'll wait and see what Palace are going to do. Just to tell you that the League 2 playoff between Stockport and Salford, that has now gone to penalties. So that's going to be a penalty shootout in the next few moments in that game. Fascinating to see how that one is going to play out. But the other game is still goalless between Carlisle and Bradford. So Bradford still lead the tie by a goal to nil. Here comes a free kick for Fulham. It's Willian's ball over towards the left-hand side. It's again just a bit too much height on that for Wilson to be able to do anything with it, really. Andersen's able to get the clearance. It's out for a throw to Fulham down the left. Yeah, it's the best of balls in from Willian. It was similar to his first one, just seems to overhit these free kicks over from the far side, so he just needs to try and work on that knocking that ball in as Fulham have a good chance there. The ball's whipped into the area, headed down, and Crystal Palace just about clear, but not as not for too long. It seems like every time they do get the ball though, Palace, it's very half-hearted clearances that are ending up at the feet of a white shirt. So they need to try and play the ball on the ground and just try and work something here, because there's only so many times you can clear the ball long. It's not a very sustainable method of defence.
Well, no, it's not. And as I say, if Palace are not going to be able to make it stick up in midfield, then Fulham will be back time and time again, and Palace aren't going to try and play out from the back this time. Just a short ball from Johnston to Andersen, but he's under pressure from Willian, so he has to clear it long now anyway. Adebayo wins the header there against Ayew, and then Mitchell runs that out for a throw. So 5 seconds after Palace restarted, they lose possession. Yeah,
it's really poor from Palace from what we've seen so far. I think Roy Hodgson's been praised for getting the best out of the attacking players on the pitch, but up until now there's not so much they can do when the attacking players have barely touched the ball yet. I mean, it's the defence who are getting all of the action so far for the Eagles, but Fulham are doing a good job at making sure that that's the case, because they're putting them under a lot of pressure, and when they are losing possession, they're sort of hounding Palace out, and their high press is working well because they're forcing Crystal Palace into mistakes.
Oh, they are. They really are. I mean, part of the reason why Palace haven't looked so good in these first 60 minutes is because Fulham have been all over them, really, as Edouard doing a bit of pressing there at the edge of the Fulham penalty area, but Adebayo is able to get back towards goalkeeper Leno. Issa Diop now brings this ball forward, but his pass down the left hits into the back of Joel Ward. Didn't know too much about it, but he got himself in the right place. And now suddenly it's a counter-attack for Palace. It's a quick ball from Edouard into the penalty area for Eze. I do wonder if Edouard was in an offside position. We've not seen a delayed offside flag, so it may well be that he was on. But the pass to Eze was overhit. No chance for Eze to get on the end of that. Nice bit of link-up play here between Kearney and Willian. And Willian's off through the middle now here for Palace. Out towards the right-hand side. Willian's ball there for trying to keep the Fulham attack alive, but just too much for Wilson there to do.
No, it's interesting. I'm not sure whether Willian's wearing steel-toe cap boots today, because every single ball that he's playing to a teammate has been overhit. His crosses have been very deep. That pass there, he just needed to nestle it into the feet of Tete, and he's absolutely smashed it at the Dutchman, and it's gone out for a throw-in, and that's given away possession in a good area, as we see there. I think Edouard may have been offside, so it wouldn't have counted, yeah. But nonetheless, the ball into Eze was very poor.
It was a poor ball into Eze, that's for sure. And meanwhile, here come Fulham again down the right-hand side with Harrison Reed feeding the ball into Harry Wilson, who is just out of play. I mean, you can't really disagree with the linesman there, because the linesman almost had to get out of Wilson's way to stop him running into him, so he couldn't have had a better view.
No, he couldn't have, and well, he saw it just rolled out. It was tight from our camera pictures, independent off-tube studio-based coverage, but yeah, it was a very tight one. If Harry Wilson did keep the ball in there, it was like he was through on goal, but give me another free kick now, just in the middle of the park, as Harrison Reed goes down, but I think he was the man that actually made the foul, so he may have come off double worse there.
Yeah, Reed just needs a moment here to pick himself up. Referee Josh Smith just looking towards the bench, saying we don't need the physio just yet. He's clattered. He sort of got tangled with Doucouré, and as Doucouré's fallen, he sort of landed with his leg onto Reed's head. So he certainly would have felt that. But we are back underway now. 18 minutes gone, and it is goalless between Fulham and Palace. Just the one goal in the 3 o'clock kickoff so far. That's Man United's early lead away at Bournemouth. Goalless between Fulham and Palace here, as it is between Liverpool and Villa, and Wolves against Everton. As a Palace attack barely even got time to start before it stopped again. There was an offside. There was a foul given. In fact, Elise was adjudged to have pushed Robinson. I mean, that's borderline in my opinion. But linesman felt as there was enough there to give the decision in Fulham's favour. With the home side now looking to try and play this long. So all the way back towards the goalkeeper, Leno, in fact. So although it looked to me as though they were going to try and play along, they're quite happy just to slow things down. The sort of pace of the game has gone out a little bit. I'm not sure if that's because Palace are just getting a little bit more organised in midfield, or if Fulham have just lost their way a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes difficult when the game's very stop-start. We've seen a lot of free kicks given and a few fouls and a few injuries to players, albeit brief, but there's another one there. A very heavy challenge from Ward. That is a nasty one. I didn't like that one at all from Joel Ward. As I say, it's not Joel Ward's fault that the advertising boards are so close to the edge of the Craven Cottage pitch, but he needs to have a little bit more respect for his fellow professional there. He jumped into Robinson and shoved him into those advertising boards, which of course are all digital these days, but made to be a little bit softer than what they would normally be if it wasn't in a sports arena. There's a long clearance now up towards the halfway line. It's out for another throw to Fulham down the left-hand side. Getting word of a penalty at Anfield for Aston Villa.
against Liverpool, so potentially a great chance for Villa to take the lead and to also take Liverpool out of the hunt for a top 4 finish. As here come Fulham now down the right-hand side. Kenny Tete don't know easy options to go towards goal. Going to go back towards the halfway line here for Adebayo. Back now towards Bernd Leno as the home side once again looking to try and start something here in midfield with Issa Diop. Plays it into Mitrovic, who does well to roll away from Andersen, but then he can't roll away from the next Palace man, Mark Guay, who's then brought down quite cynically by João Paulinho, who is certainly Fulham's leading man in terms of yellow cards this season, and we can see why.
Yeah, we can. It was a bit of a cynical one there. Guay just does really well to break past Paulinho, but as well, I think you can understand why Paulinho's done it. He's not going to get a yellow card for that. He's just stuck a leg out. It's a professional foul. He wanted to break up play, and he's done exactly that because Palace looked like they were mounting a decent attack there. If Guay got past Paulinho, the next man was about 10 or 15 yards away.
Yes, absolutely. And as you said, he was never going to get it because it was still inside the Palace half. Was it just to tell you as well that Carlisle have taken the lead against Bradford City in the other League 2 playoff semi-final, so now it's all square in the tie because Bradford won 1-0 in the first leg, so it's all square now in that game, and we are actually in penalties now between Stockport and Salford, so as soon as we know who's won that game, we'll let you know. We know that the penalty has been missed at Anfield. Ollie Watkins, who's been in such prolific form for Villa in the last 2 months of this season, missing a penalty at Anfield. That would have been a glorious chance for Villa to stamp their authority on that game, but the opportunity's been and gone. And you also get the feeling that the opportunity's been and gone for Fulham to use that really good start, because Palace are now starting to see more of the ball in Fulham territory, although their distribution still isn't working out. A long ball from Guay, of all people. To have him as the man to play a long diagonal ball, but it never got through to Eze in the end. No,
it didn't. I mean, out the two defenders, Andersen's got that sort of passing range in him, but Guay there just trying to ball over the top. It would have been a fantastic ball if it made its way towards Eze, because it was very ambitious. But I think for now, Palace just need to settle down and get the likes of Eze and Elise ticking, because as of now, I remember I can count on one hand how many times we've mentioned Elise or Eze's name. I mean, they've been very quiet. That's more so down to the fact that Palace haven't been playing with the ball at their feet. It's been very frantic in their attempts to break forward. And we see there, Mark Guay there had time to pick up a pass, tried a long ball over the top, and it didn't work. But here they come forward now, and Eze takes it down with a lovely first touch.
That is a lovely first touch from Eze. Does a quick exchange there with Edouard, and then it's Eze again out towards the right-hand side. He really has come on along a lot this season, Eze. Certainly getting the attention of a lot of people across football. Really been very, very solid for Crystal Palace as they're trying to push down the right-hand side now with Ward. His ball in towards Edouard. Takes it down here for Elise. I think he was already losing his balance. He falls anyway. Now Reed wins that ball back for Fulham, and then Robinson with the ball over the top. One for Mitrovic to chase, but that's well cut out by Guay. And Fulham now need to try and track this ball again, as it's Palace in possession in midfield here with Hughes over towards the left-hand side. Fulham win it straight back though, and just slow things down here in midfield. João Paulinho over towards Kenny Tete. Tete's ball over the top. It's not for Mitrovic. It is going to be for Willian. If he can get there, he does get there. Ward made it just a little bit too easy for him, and Willian's ball across. Again, he was too quick for his own teammates there, Willian. And it's out in the end for a corner kick. Yeah,
it's a good play there. I mean, the direct ball across was perfect from Tete, but Joel Ward completely misjudged it, didn't he? I mean, he could have easily been dealt with, but he just misjudged the flight of the ball, and it's beaten him. And then Willian just has that turn of foot to beat Ward. He's not the quickest of right backs, is he? But then Willian's ball in the box, I think he realised he'd run out of options, just wanted to put it in the mixer to try and see if anyone could get on the end of it. It was ambitious because there was only one man in there, which was Mitrovic. Didn't go anywhere near him.
Absolutely. We're over the halfway point in this first half now. It is goalless between Fulham and Palace, but it's going to be Harry to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. As this corner is going to be taken by Tom Kearney on the far side, left-footed in-swinging ball. Now he goes short to Willian. The pressure here from Eze. He goes back towards Tom Kearney once more. That's a lovely delivery in. If anyone could get on the end of it, it was just slightly too deep. It's gone out for a goal kick, and now Palace can settle down.
So at Craven Cottage, it's still goalless between Fulham and Palace, and Fulham have lost their way a little bit since that really positive start. Palace could barely get over the halfway line in the first 10 minutes, even with Fulham having that long pause for the injury to Aleksander Mitrovic. But in the meantime here, Fulham have actually won the ball back, and they're pushing forward here with Robinson. But the ball into the box eventually gets away from Tom Kearney. Overall, I think Palace will be quite pleased to have weathered that early storm. They're starting to see a little bit more of the ball, but there's still been absolutely no work for Fulham goalkeeper Bernd Leno. In fairness, there's not been too much work for Sam Johnston in the Palace goal either, but Fulham will still feel as though they're in the ascendancy here. They just got to try and have that control of the ball that they had in the first 10 minutes. At Craven Cottage, it's still 0-0.
Yeah, it's a ball kick taken by Crystal Palace, and as we see, there's been a second shirt change. Michael Elise looked to change his shirt as well, so not often you see one shirt change on a football pitch, let alone two, but Elise is back on and he's ready to go as Jordan Ayew just catching Kenny Tete there. I'm not sure what the referee's decision will be on this error, as it may just be given as a throw-in and a coming together, but Tete definitely came out worse with that one, and by the looks of things it is just going to be a throw-in as the referee makes his way over. Just has a quick word with both Ayew and Tete. Yeah, oh, that was nasty from Ayew. Just tries to hold off the run of Tete and incidentally just catches him in the face with the elbow.
Ooh.
Right in the throat. So you can see why Tete went down, and Ayew maybe have just got away with one there, as his hand was definitely raised a little bit too high for my liking.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I mean, there would have been a time where that would have been seen as deliberate, and that would have been it, you know. And now we've sort of been, when we sort of look at everything in super slow-mo, we've decided that that's probably more accidental. But players have got to be careful. It's just like that Andersen one in the early minutes of this game, where Joachim Andersen caught Mitrovic flush on the nose with an arm, and then Mitrovic had to go off with a nosebleed. I felt that probably could have been something that was seen as violent conduct, but the referee and VAR disagreed.
As Palace now play out of a nice pocket of space on the left-hand side. They've got overlapping run of Tyrick Mitchell. He can't quite be found by Jordan Ayew, and Fulham will settle back down in possession, but Will Hughes did really well there to win the ball back. Adebayo has to come across and cover, and he just about clears the ball away, but Will Hughes just doing a bit of midfield work there, closing his man down, winning the ball back in a high-pressure situation. Adebayo did really well, though, to get across and snuff out the danger. Palace take the throw in, though. It's gone back towards halfway. Andersen is there across the face of halfway to Joel Ward. He's got a direct option forward in Elise. He will use him, and now the Frenchman has a chance to try and beat his man for the first time in a while. Really, we've seen Elise try and take his man on. He goes back towards Joel Ward. Robinson with a good bit of jockeying just to shuffle them back towards halfway, and that's exactly where they are now with Mark Gay. Across once again towards Andersen. Palace try a direct ball forward. Elise's found himself in a pocket of space, done really well. A nice 1-2 with Will Hughes. Out towards Eberechi Eze. He's been closed down there by Paulinho. Does really well there, the Portuguese midfielder, to snuff out Eze a chance on goal, as Fulham now settle back down in possession. But that's a really loose pass from Paulinho. Palace will go again once more. It's a heavy touch there from Tyrick Mitchell around him, and Jordan Ayew's now got towards the byline. He's going to try and pull the ball back potentially, as he's just still trying to dance away from João Paulinho. Finds Tyrick Mitchell. Will Hughes is there on the edge of the area. The Englishman does get the ball back. He tries a direct pass in towards Eze, who's found himself in a nice pocket of space. It's back towards Decore, and that was good from Palace. It's better from them, but they couldn't quite find that last ball, and Fulham with a long ball forward find Mitrovic inside the Palace half. This game's really started to open up as Andersen just catches Mitrovic. A little nibble there from the Danish defender, and Mitrovic takes the free kick quickly. He wants to try and find Tom Kearney in behind, and he does so. As the ball's pulled back towards the edge of the area, Kearney is there. It's out wide once more towards Willian. Can he get a shot on goal? He's still just trying to get towards the byline, twisting and turning right and left. It's back to Kearney. He has the shot. It's blocked at the source, and Fulham will have to go again, in which they are, as Palace can't seem to clear their lines any further than 30 or so yards out now. Anthony Robinson finds Willian, and Fulham settle down now with Tom Kearney, but a frantic couple of minutes.
Certainly a frantic couple of minutes. I mean, it was almost like Willian couldn't get that ball across. Mitrovic was actually pointing to that he wanted that ball at the edge of the 6-yard box, but it didn't happen. I can tell you that Villa have now scored at Anfield. It's Liverpool 0, Villa 1, and the goal was scored by Jacob Ramsey. Here come Palace, though, at the other end. The ball's into the box, and Leno couldn't get on the end of it eventually, and it's hoofed away. But it was a very quick counter for Palace down the left-hand side. Yeah, it was a really nicely worked move to find Jordan Ayew. He beats everyone himself, has the shot on goal. It's incidentally looked more of a cross, really, and it sort of ping-ponged around the penalty area before Fulham cleared their lines through Adebayo. And now it looks like Harry Wilson on halfway has gone down now, seemingly caught a knock from somewhere, as Bernd Leno pulled out a really good save there to deny the combination of Ayew and Eze and Odsonne Edouard. They were all sniffing around the penalty area. 29 minutes played at Craven Cottage, still goalless, but plenty of chances, as we see another replay here of that chance there, as Ayew runs at Adebayo, gets towards the byline and tries to pull it back towards a teammate. Diop gets an initial touch. It's followed in by Elise, and I'm not really sure how that hasn't ended up in the back of the net. I think you called it. I think it's Diop. Without Diop doing, I mean, Diop actually nutmegs himself, then Robinson uses his thigh to stop the ball reaching Elise, then Leno just sort of pats at the ball, but all three of those interventions didn't look particularly solid on their own, but the three of them together was certainly enough to get that ball away, as players taking on some fluids here. It's a very warm day in London. We saw that with the earlier game between Spurs and Brentford. Just to say that Stockport have beaten Salford on penalties Salford missed 3 of their 4 penalties. So Stockport have through in that, I like to say, the Manchester derby, where both places actually think they're outside of Manchester and their own places. But in any case, the class of 92's team will not be in the playoff final this year. Stockport beating Salford, and they're currently awaiting to find out who their opponents are going to be, with Carlisle and Bradford 1-1 in the tie. Bradford winning 1-0 in the first leg. Carlisle currently 1-0 up in the second leg. That game is available on our service, as indeed all the other Premier League games this afternoon, as Palace now in possession.
Yeah, Joel Ward tries a ball down the line. Eze's going to make the run. It might have to be in vain though, as Issa Diop just comes across the cover. It was a slightly overhit ball there from Joel Ward, so wasn't quite going to find Eberechi Eze, a man who's sniffing around the fringes of the England team. A lot of people saying he should be getting a call-up throughout the summer and into next season, ahead of the the Euro, in a year or so's time. And you can see why he's been praised for his performances. He's had an absolute stellar season with the Crystal Palace side, who didn't really get going until late on this season. But that's a lovely ball forward to find Harry Wilson on the right hand side. He tries to square it in towards the penalty area, and in the end a good save by Sam Johnson. Got down low and made sure he held on to it, but Fulham way too easily carving through that Crystal Palace back line.
That looked like a counter-attack, except it wasn't a counter-attack. Fulham were just playing out from the back, a quick ball down the right-hand side, and suddenly Palace's defence just seemed to be way too far up the field. They were playing an offside trap that never existed. You've got to give credit, though. I think that was Mitchell coming back. He actually gets a slight nick on that cross, which straightens it up and makes it a little bit easier for Johnson, as now Palace want to play out from the back, but Fulham still pressing.
Yeah, take nothing away from the ball as well from tossing Adebayo. A beautiful outside the boot ball to find Harry Wilson on the right hand side. But here is Cheick Doucouré, goes back towards Mark Gay. 31 minutes played, still yet to see a goal in this fixture. Plenty of chances at either end though, and beautiful weather in West London. We're hoping to see a equally beautiful game of football. Up until now it's been a decent game, still yet to find that opening. Long ball forward from Bernd Leno. Mitrovic is going to try and hold off Gay. Gets up ahead of Andersen as well, and does really well there, Mitrovic, to beat Andersen to the ball, and Harry Wilson makes a run, and Mitrovic prods it forward, but in the end we're going to be pulled back for a free kick. Really good hold-up play from Aleksander Mitrovic there to see off the challenge of Joachim Andersen. So maybe he is just sort of revoking that receipt from the earlier handbags between the pair, and looks as though Mitrovic is coming off the better player up until this point.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Mitrovic, as you say, I credit Mitrovic for the way he's behaved in this first half, because he is a player. It's part of his character as a player. He needs that little bit of aggression, a little bit of needle with either opposition fans or players, just to really help him sort of motor through the match. And I did think that the way Andersen caught him early on would have really frustrated Mitrovic, but he's held his nerve, and potentially a big goal at Molineux there, Harry.
Yeah, it's a massive goal regarding the bottom of the table, and Hwang Hee-chan has opened the scoring at Molineux for Wolves, which leaves Everton in a really poor situation now heading into the final week of the season, as they're only 1 point ahead of Leeds in the relegation zone. And if they go on to lose this game, it could spell danger for them, as there's a ball into the area for Fulham, and Jordan Ayew gets a toe on it, but he can only poke it out as far as a corner kick. So Fulham now have a chance to flood the box and maybe grab our opener. But big goals all over the Premier League. Yeah,
that's a massive one. That's Molineux. If Everton were to lose today, certainly there'll be fans in both the Leeds and Leicester cheering that goal. I'm sure that gives both of those teams more of a chance to try and track down Everton as well in their final 2 games. And it was a good run from Kenny Tete, put out there by Ayew. Going to be an outswinging corner now from Willian.
Yeah, the Brazilian does whip the ball in towards the area. It's a nice one this time, and almost finds the head of Issa Diop, but it's cleared away by Palace. Joel Ward is making a direct run forward, and Eze with a lovely bit of skill breaks past his man, and now they've got an overlap on the right hand side. Eze with the ball straight through the middle, and it's gone through on goal to Edouard. Oh! And what a goal that is from Odsonne Edouard. A splitting counter attack from Crystal Palace gives them the opener at Craven Cottage. All started from Eze, and he prods it forward to Edouard, straight through the middle of the defence. Lovely weight on it. Edouard with a beautiful finish.
Well, what a goal this is from Crystal Palace, considering that they've been under the cosh for most of this first half. They've barely had any kind of attacking possession at all, and from a Fulham corner, Crystal Palace have taken the lead. It was an outswinging ball from Willian towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Nobody in a Fulham shirt could get on it, and then suddenly Palace have got men streaming forward. It was a really good work initially there from Elise, just to drop a shoulder and get the ball away from a couple of players. Then it's Eze that finds Edouard, who breaks into the box, and what a finish that is from Odsonne Edouard. Eze threads the ball through to him, and Edouard with the left foot just past the goalkeeper, Bernd Leno, and into the top corner. Palace will say it's deserved because they've weathered an early storm here from Fulham. Fulham will be furious that they've conceded this goal considering how well they started. It's Fulham 0, Palace 1.
A really, really nicely taken finish there from Odsonne Edouard. Fires it into the roof of the net. Not really much Bernd Leno could do. He tried to make himself as big as possible, went to ground expecting Edouard to drill it across the penalty area, but he just smashes it into the roof of the net. It was a really smart finish, but take nothing away from the build-up play as well. Eberechi Eze with a fantastic bit of trickery on halfway to beat his man and open up that space ahead of him to drive into. He had almost an age to pick out that pass, but Edouard, he could ask questions about the Fulham defence. He found that running behind the defence way too easily, and he almost parted like the Red Sea for him. Gave him the shot on target on a platter, really, but he still had to do the hard work and get the ball past the goalkeeper and Leno, and that's exactly what he did. A beautiful, beautiful strike from him, and now Fulham come straight back up the other end. Can they give an instant reaction? Willian with the ball in the box, cleared away by Joachim Andersen into the feet of Aleksander Mitrovic, who's holding off Andersen. It falls towards Harrison Reed. He can't quite get there. Good defensive play there from Jordan Ayew, but he's been dispossessed himself, and a bit of trickery from Harry Wilson trying to break through the Crystal Palace back line. Just about weathering the storm now, Roy Hodgson's men, as Paulinho tries the ball down the line, and Harrison Reed's going to give chase, but it's going to be in vain as Tyrick Mitchell can turn and clear it away, but only as far as a Fulham throw, and they're still keeping up this pressure. What sort of character do we need to see now from Fulham before half-time to try and get that equaliser?
Well, I think they've got to sort of try to revert to what they were doing before they conceded this goal. If there's any way for them to just try and keep that ball higher up the field, I think they've been caught out a couple of times by Palace trying to break forward. But still, Fulham have still had more than enough possession in this first half to have had a lead, or at least not be behind in this game. I think they don't need to panic because of the way that Palace are pushing forward. But just as I say that, Fulham do give the ball away far too easily.
Yeah, here is Ayew tries a ball into the feet of Eze, who's been dispossessed by Willian. A heavy touch from him, but then another big challenge from Odsonne Edouard to try and win the ball back. But Fulham eventually come out with possession. It is with Odsonne Edouard. He finds Mitrovic, who tries to hook a ball over the top of the Palace defence, and it worked for the most part as Tyrick Mitchell has had to nod it down towards Kenny Tete. Tete now looking to take his man on. Will Hughes comes across the cover. It's in towards Wilson, who fires the ball towards the far post. Willian's the only man there. He nods it back across for Aleksander Mitrovic, but Andersen there was too sharp, too smart, and he got there quick enough ahead of Mitrovic, and he can fire it out of play for a throw-in all the way back towards halfway. But some poor defending from Anthony Robinson there to allow Willian all that time and space at the far post. As Joel Ward leaves him completely unmarked, and Willian, he really could have taken that down.
He could have, as I say, there's just these fine margins in this game. Fulham have had more than enough possession. They've had the chances to get the balls into the box, but 2 or 3 times Willian's put balls into the box when no one's been there. 2 or 3 times Willian's put balls into the box that have been overhit or underhit. They're just lacking that little bit of quality in the final third. But everything else, I would say, for Fulham has looked pretty good. I mean, the way they were caught on the counter, as you mentioned, would have certainly frustrated Marco Silva. But it was also the fact that they were probably quite confident in getting a goal because they've had so much attacking possession.
Here is Robinson, takes switch ball down really nicely with his first touch. He delivers a ball in the box. I think it took a clip off Joel Ward there. It will be a corner, so Fulham can sustain this pressure. They've already shown that up until this point. It's been very relentless from Marco Silva's men, but just lacking that cutting edge in front of goal that Crystal Palace definitely have portrayed. I mean, they've not had more than 2 or 3 decent chances going forward, but they only needed 1 through Odsonne Edouard, and they've took that fantastically. Edouard opening the scoring for them around about 10 or so minutes ago. But here is Harrison Reed standing over this set piece. It'll be a right-footed in-swinging ball from the English central midfielder. He's got plenty of options to aim at. Paulinho's up in there, so are both Diop and Adebayo. Reed will look for a ball. He just stutters and delays it. He's just waiting for that perfect time to deliver this set piece. Fires the ball in towards the middle of the penalty area. Sam Johnson's had to punch it clear. He can only do so as far as a throw-in around about in line with the penalty area, but Johnson there looked a little bit nervy when coming out for it.
He's not the best on crosses, Sam Johnston. He's a very good shot stopper. Sometimes it's just that split second of indecision can sometimes make him look a little bit uneasy on crosses there. And he was very quick to sort of organise his defenders after he put that ball out for a throw as well. But Fulham have gone back to what they were doing before they conceded. A lot of possession inside the Palace half, just lacking that final little bit of magic to actually do something with it in the final third.
One thing Palace can't do is rest on their laurels and try and sit back, as we know the quality that Fulham do have going forward. It looks as though there may have been And offside shout there for Odsonne Edouard, who just broke through behind the Crystal Palace defence. A very unfamiliar character to be seen in an offside position, and it probably showed in the ball into the box from Kenny Tete. But
yeah, I mean, I think that last move there, as you said, it was just Fulham still trying to sort of get organised after the previous move, and it may well be that didn't realise just how quickly the Palace defence was moving forward. But it's just the Marco Silva, I do wonder whether he'll be more encouraging rather than critical of his players at half-time, because although they haven't had the shots away at goal, their build-up has been good. I've been impressed with how Fulham have played, barring the goal they've conceded and the lack of shots on goal. But in terms of the way that they've built up play, I've actually think they've been playing quite well. So it just depends on whether Marco Silva wants to take the sort of the stern route at half-time or not.
It's Palace, though, who picked the ball up on the edge of the Fulham penalty area, and it's found Jordan Ayew, who's going to try and break towards the byline. Adebayo is going to stand up against him, so is Tete. They're doubling up on Ayew now. It's back towards Will Hughes, and now Chit Decore. They're getting pushed further and further back here, Palace. Fulham doing a good enough job at squeezing them away from Bernd Leno's penalty area, but now Michael Olise is just going to hold on to possession. He delivers a direct ball towards the centre of the park, and Mark Gay will pick things up in towards Will Hughes. They're happy to play the slower route here, Crystal Palace, the slow build-up play, is they're just happy to hold on to possession for now, and you can understand why, being 1-0 up, as Will Hughes now finds a lovely ball over towards Odsonne Edouard. He tries a give and go with Will Hughes, but that's going to be a free kick. There was a trip there on Issa Diop, and Fulham can settle down now. But Palace, when they do get forward, they are looking bright. They're moving the ball quicker, and their interplay is nice, but Fulham just about doing enough to sort of camp them further and further away from the penalty area. They're doing a good enough job at squeezing them out of possession. They
are. I think when Palace are just in possession, pushing forward, Fulham seem to be able to work out what was going to happen, and they've looked fairly confident in dealing with it. It was that one counter-attack from Palace that's given them their goal. But we can see that certainly, as Hughes was trying to win that ball back, for Palace know they can wind up Fulham a little bit now. They know that because they have this lead, the little trips in the box, stopping slowing things down when Fulham want to restart play quickly. These are all little things that Palace can do. All the professionals know what they have to do just to try and frustrate their opposition.
Yeah, it's throwing on the near side for Crystal Palace. Willian couldn't quite keep it in on the near touchline in front of the technical area. Tom Kearney, the Fulham skipper, enjoying some time back in the side now. He spent a vast majority of the season away from the starting 11, with Andreas Pereira playing fantastically in his return to the Premier League after his spell at Manchester United. But that's a switched free kick from Crystal Palace, looking for Tyrick Mitchell. It was dealt with just about by Harry Wilson, but he can only nod it out of play for another throw, this time on the far side, and it's going to be taken by Tyrick Mitchell. Look for a forward ball, but there's a lack of movement in and around the throw-in. He decides to go straight towards Odsonne Edouard. It's going to be picked up by Odsonne Edouard, who can only fire it into the air. Jordan Ayew will try and win the second ball, but got a couple of white shirts surrounding him. Will Hughes now with a bit of a stiff tackle to try and win the ball back, but in doing so, he's fired the ball out of play for a goal kick. Fulham can settle down now, and the game's just had a bit of the sting taken out of it in the last 5 or so minutes. I think both sides are just happy to see half-time now for different reasons.
I agree. I think that right now, I think Marco Silva wants to get his players in just to give them a few more ideas as to what they need to do to get this goal against Palace. And from Palace's point of view, they've not really seen that much of the ball throughout this game anyway, so they'll be quite happy to hear from Roy Hodgson at half-time as well.
Yeah, here is Adebayo just bringing the ball out of defence. He's motoring in towards the Palace half, drops it off short towards Harrison Reed. He'll have to go back though, as Will Hughes is doing an adequate enough job at pressing him out of the Palace half. Issa Diop now just looking for a forward ball. There's Tom Kearney there, and he does find him. He goes out wide towards Robinson. This is better build up from Fulham here, as Aleksander Mitrovic is in the area. So is Harry Wilson. It's gone towards Wilson, fallen towards Harrison Reed, who's had the shot first time. It wasn't going to reach goal though. It came off a Palace player last, and that was a bit of a nasty collision there, and Tyrick Mitchell is going to be penalised. It's going to be a Fulham free kick right on the edge of the Palace penalty area. Tyrick Mitchell there just backing into Harrison Reed is what I think happened there, as we just see a replay. Kenny Tete takes it down, and that's a very nasty one from Tyrick Mitchell. Flies through Harrison Reed in trying to clear the ball away, and he's caught him flush on the face with the knee.
That's not good from Mitchell. I mean, the way he leaps there as well, Mitchell, it makes you wonder what he actually thought he could do there. I mean, the referee was not seen too much of a reaction from Josh Smith for the time being, and I doubt it's one of those they would call it back for a red card. But It's not a good one there, and I'm not surprised that Reed's looking a little bit groggy, and he's actually pointing to where he's likely to get a bruise by tomorrow, you would have thought.
Yes, Fulham now look to take this free kick to give themselves an equaliser in a game that they really probably should have gone 1-0 up. But we're closing in on half time now, so they haven't got much time left to play with. If they're going to get an equaliser before the break, it's got to come now. As we've got an additional 3 minutes of added time on top of the mandatory 45 signified by the fourth official. So 3 minutes now left for Fulham to try and grab an equaliser. It's a ball in from Harry Wilson. He doesn't quite beat the first line of the Palace defence, and it will come back towards Anthony Robinson. He'll look for a square pass across to Tom Kearney. Left-footed reverse ball from him, looking for an option in the penalty area, but it comes off Elise, who does really well to keep it in as well, but he's lost possession in a dangerous area there, Elise. Probably better if he let it run out, as the ball's whipped into the penalty area from Tom Kearney. Tyrick Mitchell there making up for his earlier mistake by clearing it away from Harry Wilson, but it is going to go behind for a corner.
Yeah, out for a corner, so Fulham trying to start this, end this first half the same way that they started up. At least that's terrible. You would have been better off just letting that go out for a throw, but good work in the end there. Guay and Mitchell getting themselves in the right position, making sure it does go out for a corner. Quite surprised that we've only got 3 minutes. I mean, we lost a lot of time for that Mitrovic, and we've had a couple of others as well, but here comes the corner. Yeah,
corner whipped in towards the far post. It's another deep delivery from Fulham, but it seemingly worked this time as Mark Gay had to traverse all the way back towards the far post and nod it out for a second corner. That one was delivered in by Willian, but this one is going to be taken on the far side. Interesting to see who is on the duties this time, as Willian took the last corner from the far side. Has he been stripped of his corner taking duties? It looks like he has, as it's whipped in near towards the near post. It seems as though every Fulham corner either goes too deep or too short in towards the near post, and that one has led to a goal kick, which Harry Wilson's not happy about.
He's not happy about this at all, Wilson. No, he's, I say, our referee, a new Premier League referee. I've not seen Josh Smith doing a Premier League game before myself. And I think potentially he could be guilty of letting a few things go, perhaps not trying to be too sort of controversial and to the point right from the very beginning. But there have been a couple of decisions in this first half that I think have been maybe questionable from our referee.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fiery game from time to time. We've seen some heavy challenges flying in. A lot of contact from arm to face from both sides, really, but up until this point, we are still yet to see our opening card of the game. As we're closing in on half-time here, it's Palace who are back in possession with Jordan Ayew. Tries a ball down the line for Eze. It's picked up by João Palhinha. He's been caught there by Jordan Ayew and Eze, a combination of the two players, and it will be a Fulham free kick. They haven't got much time left. They've got about 30 seconds. They want to get the ball rolling, as the referee's whistle is closing in imminently. They go back though, Fulham, as it's all the way back to Leno, but they're going to have to throw the ball forward here if they want to grab an equaliser before the break. As Issa Diop brings the ball out of defence in towards Mitrovic. He gets a lucky deflection off Andersen. It's a lovely ball out towards Wilson. Been brought down to the penalty area. Is there a penalty? I think it's going to be given. Tyrick Mitchell has caught Harry Wilson there inside the penalty area really late on in this first half. Wow, what a turning point this could be.
This could, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's first of all, I mean, it was there. I think there's probably about 3 or 4 seconds of injury time left when that ball went into the box. So, I mean, obviously the referee can play on as long as he wants anyway, but it looks to me like it's a clumsy one from Mitchell, but we'll see from this angle, is there anything to save Mitchell? I don't think there is at all, is there, Harry?
No, that's just very clumsy, isn't it? I mean, in fairness to him, it looks like he might have actually just slipped over, which is very unfortunate if he has, and it wasn't an intentional error, so unfortunate for him, but Fulham won't mind, and it's definitely a foul. I mean, he's brought Wilson to ground when he had a clear shot on goal, so Fulham now are going to have a penalty to give themselves an equaliser going into the break, and that could really do a lot for the momentum of Marco Silva's side. It's going to be Aleksander Mitrovic to step up to the spot. Been out of the goals and out of the side for a hefty amount of time with his suspension, but he's back in, and he could really almost restart his season with a goal here, as he hasn't got much left of the season, but it'll be a nice way for him to round it off. An already good season. Mitrovic steps up to take it. He fires it into the top left-hand corner. Nothing Johnson can do about that. The Serbian strikes to give Fulham an equaliser, and what a great penalty it was.
Fantastic from Mitrovic. He drills it. There's no way the keeper's saving that. Not much reaction from Marco Silva, but he would say that that's the least that his side deserve, is to be level at half-time, considering they've had a lot more of the ball, and they've now got their equaliser through Mitrovic's penalty.
It's a really well taken penalty there from Aleksander Mitrovic. Fires it into the top left-hand corner. Sam Johnson did dive the right way, but you put any goalkeeper in there and they don't save it. You put two goalkeepers in there and they probably wouldn't get to it. So a costly error from Tyrick Mitchell has cost Crystal Palace a lead going into the break. And well, we're up to the 50th minute now, and it looks as though the referee has blown his whistle to signify the end of this first half. A goal earlier on in the half from Odsonne Edouard, a lovely taken finish, gave Crystal Palace the lead. But Fulham came back late on in this first half with a penalty through Aleksander Mitrovic, and that has given Fulham a draw going into the break. As we join after half time, it's Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 1.